Hello and welcome to the Skating Lesson Recaps Battle of the Blades, Week 1 and 2. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi.
Hi, and for everyone in the Great White North who is new here, we're the Skating Lesson. We're going to recap everything having to do with Battle of the Blades and figure skating in Canada. So subscribe below. And please smash that like button because you know it took me a lot of time to get Jonathan to watch Canadian Cheese, to get him to embrace it, and to yell at him to have a positive attitude, okay? Because whenever I say something bad, people go, Dave Lee said this. But when Jonathan says it, they go, TSL. So it's like belittling me. So I have worked on his attitude. I have screen caps of me yelling at him.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's, I find that I often am more the cheesy positive guy in competitive arenas, like in just regular competitive events. But when we get to the world of reality TV, Dave, and
or
we get
just
to, like,
the general public,
it just switches, doesn't it?
I'm seeing the Downton Abbey film today, Jonathan, and you know what? It doesn't need to be a work of Papadakis and Cicerone free dance. I am going in there for the good, warm
Maggie
cheese.
Smith is a treasure.
Okay, Jonathan, it's not for you. It's for me and my mother.
Oh, I like John.
And we are recapping this show because Canadians love it, hockey players love it. It is Queen Sandra Bezek's and her partner's creation. And my friend Dan Johnston's grandmother loves this show. So we need to talk
here's
about...
the real reason we're doing it. I'm going to start off by saying, I understand that obviously there are a lot of international copyright things at play here. Mm-hmm. When you said, okay, let's do this, I thought, well, I would actually invest and just buy the episodes on something, but they don't even allow you to purchase the episodes.
I know.
I understand why it wouldn't be possible to maybe stream it on just a regular service, but I will give is it the CBC? I will give the CBC my money to buy the episodes, but it wouldn't let me do it.
It's a weird thing, and I don't know how that deals with their media. I know Sandra has tried, so they got everyone can watch the performances, but a show like this is so dependent on those fluff pieces, and I know a lot of it has to do with music rights, is why they can't. I don't understand. Like, a lot of it is music rights, it's why Weaver's program was kind of hard to find. I did try to upload them on my old YouTube channel, so you can find them, and I'll be working on that. I know that Sandra sent us a link, but it's so funny is that it's a link that only works until midnight on the night of the performance. So if we're not home Thursday night, we can't even watch the link that she sent us. But in the past, when I was blogging on Aunt Joy's, Sandra actually used to have the CBC FedEx DVDs the next day. And I remember, but it was one of those annoying things where where they always wanted a signature, and if people weren't home, it would be that thing where they keep coming back.
Oh my gosh, and you gotta go to their office and finally pick it up or something horrible.
Just like memories. But I had, when I was moving, I had like all of these discs of like Battle of the Blades. But I really invested, I think I really recapped the Katya season where she won with Candice Cameron Bure's husband, the DJ Tanner's husband. So anyway, looking back, this is the second revival of this show. Sandra is a fierce woman who never ever gives up. And I have to say, she puts on a really classy production. Interesting is that this is being held in different venues all across the Toronto area. And it's sold out every single week. And I think the ratings are doing pretty well. They're likely to get renewed. It's like a very Sunday night type program. I think that's when we watched Downton Abbey, right? On PBS. So it's like Downton Abbey for Canadians. And it's definitely
what I really liked
families.
What I liked about it, because, you know, sometimes I find these shows can be very cringy for me and reality TV in general, because I find
you lack joy.
So slow. It does not spark joy normally, but they go so slow. And what I appreciated about the production value of this, it was like, introduce them, they skate, we say hello, we judge, we move on. Like, it was a quick, organized, it kept moving. It wasn't like sometimes with Dancing with the Stars, everything just took forever to get going. And I felt this just had very good pacing to it.
So there's a little bit of a format change this year. So Sandra was always the head judge, and I'm not sure why this is, but she's only the executive producer this year. Before, she was the executive producer and the head judge. And her significant other creates it with her. Yeah. They would always get her like super glammed up in these sparkly dresses, and she had an updo, and she just looked very glamorous, and 5.9 as she would speak. So I really miss that.
Yeah, because do you think they're catering, because we see a mix, right?
It could be ageism, Jonathan, but I think Barb Underhill looks way older than Sandra. Like, she has preserved herself way better. So, and I think Barb Underhill actually works with hockey players on their skating. She mentioned it to Poje's partner, but I believe that's what she does. And I think Liz Manley does that too. It's a way to really make money. Unfortunately, hockey is such a better way to make money than skating,
right,
for a lot of
rinks.
And
it's interesting to see a lot of these former skaters as judges. I found some insightful. I found some kind of on the surface just smiling and taking their turn. And then you got some that were more off-putting than I anticipated. So I had a feeling someone like Sandra would have been a welcome addition to the show.
So she was always the head judge, and Kurt and Ron would host together. And I think that was a lot better, at least for me. As Kurt has gotten older, and I really like Kurt, but sometimes, especially when he's in the judging mode, you know that people have said this about Charlie White, like other skaters, that when they're in shows with him, they can't stand him because he kind of like mocks everyone else's crossovers, and there's a little bit of a DB factor. And you can kind of see it with Kurt that like he was always giving the low scores, and there was a little bit like where you kind of, is an annoying quality. And some people said that when they competed with him, he was the type that could do his long program once and then do it clean, and that makes him like irritating to people. So I think he was better in the host role. I have to say that Tessa Virtue is so good, almost as good as Tanith, at being so phony that it seems believable. But we love her anyway.
Almost, because Tanith, to me, is still making a point, and like it's literally some of Tessa's comments. Again, she's in a predicament because she just wants to be likable right now.
And she's newer into this, right?
And it was just her comments could have been given to anyone at any time. They were interchangeable.
She's a great pageant girl. And you can tell that we've even gotten messages from people, because people love to shade on Scott and ask about Scott, and because he's openly aggressive, but I think that Tessa has always been as driven, but more on the branding and artistic side than Scott, and Scott's more on the technical side. And I think you can tell that in their careers as they diverge. Like, she'll be a public person, and he'll be like a technical guru. Like, I see him working with teams, and you could even tell it in his criticisms here when he was talking about crossovers.
Yeah.
He is able to break it down very technically, and I think that maybe he's not the kind of coach that's going to motivate you and manage you, but he'll tell you to fix your crossover and get your head out of your ass. Like, I think that will be his
And Tessa
role.
will do a nice appearance where she'll tell children to never give up on their dreams. And
yes.
I see that, and which is also a completely viable option. But it's interesting that, and this must be a whole psychological thing, they're still being presented as Tessa and Scott. They get one score.
That was so stupid to me, because in the second week there were 4 scores, and why can't they have their own? I guess it's...
I have an opinion.
We'll have to ask Sandra about that. Was really irritating and annoying for me. I don't know. I didn't like the one score bothered me. I was like, wait, they're one person, and we don't even see them discuss. And
right.
I don't know. That was weird. But I guess, look, they are trying to make this second tour, Rock the Rink, happen. So they are really
hitting the circuit.
Yeah, but I wondered, I guess they're just so busy working on the tour that they couldn't do this every week. Obviously, it's a great exposure for them to get their tour. And if they could incorporate Battle with the tour, that would be good for them. And they'll be back weeks 6 and 7. So we're talking about weeks 1 and 2. But yeah, and obviously, so the first 2 seasons of this show, it was all male hockey players and all female ice dancer.
Yeah. Interesting, and because I want to talk to you a little bit about this, because I wondered, even when we would see it on Dancing with the Stars, in Dancing with the Stars in particular, I felt it was more of an advantage when the guy was the amateur.
Always an advantage.
Yeah, and I definitely, well, I don't know.
No,
yeah,
I think it's worse in this. So, let's start with the girls, when we go into this, because the girls, a lot of female hockey players are quite muscular and not figure skating flowers. The way
And
pairs...
inevitably, when you have a Katja or somebody like that skating, come on, I have to remember, although like some of these like guys look pretty good, but like I have to remember to look at them because your eye is supposed to be drawn off into the flower, if you will. And so when the flower is the weak link, understandably so. I mean, they're doing it for the first time. It did just seem like an inherent disadvantage.
And this was a big get, by the way, in skating. There were a lot of pair skaters. I know Yuka Sato and Alyssa wanted to do it, and Sandra was like, no, you have to be like a real full-time pair because the girls get hurt. Marie France was dropped on her head and got a concussion on the first season. Like she landed on her head, on her neck.
Some of the stuff they're even attempting in that first week, and I mean, of course, yes, it is what it is, and I know they have some ice experience, but some of that was still very scary. And as we'll talk about, the first guy injured himself, and he was right on out.
So it gets very, very competitive, and I don't know exactly how much money is on the line, but I do know Amanda Evora put her down payment on her house came from winning Battle of the Blades season 4. But before that, they always had all the pros that were really professional skating standard bearers for so many years, and they were like Isabelle Brasseur, Jamie Salé, Shailene Bourne, Katja. So there was Marie France. There was a certain level of professionalism and competitiveness, and a lot of these, and they had a certain level of projection. These new skaters, Vanessa James, Weaver, Radford, Poje, they're from a new generation. They're working hard, you can tell, but they're newer at this. So I think someone like Katja has an advantage.
And come out of that pro circuit. Do you know what I mean? Like, Katja's been doing unconventional events probably much more than these.
So this is her third one of these type shows. She won Battle of the Blade season 2. She was on a show in Russia with an actor, and then now she's with this. And the reason this is so much more successful than like a Skating with the Stars that was tried is because it takes so long to learn skating. Everyone can dance at a wedding and you can fake that. Right. Not everyone can skate. So that's the other thing. But let's start with Eric. Please. I really think that there is so much of this show is the branding of who you are and your narrative with any of these shows. And I thought Ron McLean threw a wrench in, and I don't even think he realized what he did, but Canadians are very nationalistic about this kind of a thing. And I noticed that at the end of week 1, he brought up the fact that Amanda Kessel prevented Canada from winning their medal, and it was like, here's this girl who's already not super charismatic and likable, Eric, while a good performer, not a very projecting,
there's a wall up somehow. You don't feel that warmth even in the interviews or in the fluff footage.
And, he always seems a little sad to me, like annoyed sad. Like, he knows that he's a good skater, but he's been always with the hockey player type girl his entire career. But
right. Well, and it's interesting, in the fluff pieces when they would really try to go for the tears and get the heartfelt moment about what charity they were choosing and what they've overcome, some stories quite powerful, some maybe a little pushed a little hard, but his sort of being bullied as a gay guy or as a gay kid, and
so I think that's very real for him.
Victimology. I'm sure it was, but somehow the way the editing works or his relationship with the camera or the interviewer in general, it reads as standoffish and bitter. Yeah. And I don't know that that's the case.
I get a bitterness as if he doesn't get why he's not celebrated like Adam, but it's the whole personality thing and not the cause, even though maybe it's more genuine, right? Like, I think he really is passionate about the bullying thing.
But yeah, you did. You weren't.
I didn't buy in because
warm you to him
because we're the same age as Eric, and at a certain point in your development, you have to move past coming out, right? If you keep talking about, like, I think even for Adam, I get annoyed that he still talks about he's still at coming out when it's like, okay, you're years beyond that and you're still stuck in
Take
that
us to what happens
place.
Afterwards.
Yeah. So, and you want to be a fully formed person, right? So I would never pick that as my charity. I just wouldn't let them pigeonhole me into that narrative. I also think hockey players still a little homophobic. So you want to try to broaden, right? And get you have to work for the tiers. So, and I think with some of these skaters, look, Katja has heart and stroke, and everyone remembers Sergei dying, so that's brilliant. You're going against Vanessa, woman of color on the ice. Hard to beat that. You're going against a lot of the hockey players talked about mental health, which impacts so many people, and they talked about issues relating to mental health. And
oh my God, there's the partner. Oh, is it?
There were
Weaver's
a couple.
Partner, the sexual abuse victim from the coach, and I was like, oh my God, like they are going for it week one.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I have to say that I think Eric did a really good job here, and I don't think Eric deserved to get voted off first, but maybe his partner deserved to get voted off first, even though...
It is an unfortunate situation. He's a beautiful skater, always has been. I don't know how he would be teaching in this kind of situation, because I think he was probably beta in that relationship, not alpha.
I thought she had a terrible attitude. And she couldn't. It's interesting as we're going to watch like some of these hockey players and where, like for some of the guys, like when Kurt got up and demonstrated, I thought it was quite interesting. He was like, "You're moving all together, like you're not bending at the hip at all, so everything becomes stiff." She lacked an inherent glide on the ice. Yes,
which
I think she must be a shitty skater as a hockey player. I don't watch
unless whatever. I'm so clueless about it. Unless whatever she does in hockey is so much shorter and more wing sprinty based.
It was weird for me to say that she had a bad attitude because it's like two sides of the brain. She did a lot of tricks that were actually quite advanced and difficult. She did a death spiral. She went for some of the adagio type moves. So they obviously were able to work on that. But you're able to perfect those, but she didn't ever work on her basic glide or her performance or her projection. And it seemed like she wasn't interested in that, and maybe she was just uncomfortable, but it came across like she wasn't into it, and I think that's why they got voted off over Evora and that partner, plus the comment about keeping the Canadians obviously didn't help. That's going to hurt their votes.
Kurt voted to leave them on.
Yeah, Kurt did. The only one. And you can tell Kurt is kind of pushing which way the marks go often. And then, it was... comparing her to Poje's partner is the burliest, like Jack, like she seems like she could lift him, and you would think that she would have a really hard time being the flower. Yeah. But she's so endearing in the fact that she just sells it, even the fact that she's a real hard one to choreograph for. But Kessel didn't go for it at all. Like, the performance was just not there.
But you know what? Again, because when I saw the death spiral, I was thoroughly impressed. I was like, oh my gosh, like that actually takes some real skill. Like, this is very impressive. But if she had just stood there and smiled and waved, it would have been more enjoyable.
She just looked nervous and...
What eggs are you putting in what basket? And I think they chose maybe the wrong strategy for them. Because again, the power of them combined just kind of left you feeling cold.
She did remind me of Tara Kane. I thought you would notice in the press lift that they did. She looked like dead weight. I almost
thought about mentioning it, and then I was like, no, don't. You say it too often as it is. But yes, it was a very Tara Kane situation.
So they gave them 9-3, 9-2, 9-2 the first week. And the funny thing is that they always used a 6-0 system before. And the people... Isn't it interesting? The public wants the 6-0 system. So even when we talk about the IJS... Everyone still knows that damn system, and they still prefer it. They don't... What does a 9-3 mean?
So in week 1, they were out of a 10, and then they went to 6 for week 2.
And I think, just like amateur skating, we still want it. We still want it to be easy to translate, to do the headline, to do... That's all people want. We don't have 15 years of studying a PDF to get into skating. That's for... us who would watch a junior Grand Prix on a Sunday. So, the week 2, they did share strong enough. Eric did a beautiful Ina Bauer. Amanda stood up. She just looks like kind of, like she just lets her body drop when she comes out of these lifts and movements. She just doesn't even try.
And I feel like she has blinders up and like she's blocked the audience out. Because she's going to, like, try to remember the...
She's a real female athlete with some masculine energy. Like, she just not getting in touch with
tunnel vision. Yeah. And, again, I totally understand that. Their job is tunnel vision. Like, they may... And it was interesting, someone was talking about this. In hockey, you're going to feed off the crowd, but in a totally different way.
Yeah.
You're not going to communicate with them. You're just going to feel their energy.
She's like a crusher. I feel...
Shut it off. she was like, I'm ignoring you right now.
Is she a goalie or is she like a forward crusher? Like,
well, isn't she a forward? Because she was doing part of the penalty shots.
Yeah, forward. Yeah, okay.
I'm saying all the wrong words. I'm sure. Like,
I used to have hockey players on my wall, but my favorite scene in Mighty Ducks, the first one in terms of hockey, was when the girl did. She did the scratch spin, and then they did the goal. And I remember one time I went to soccer practice, and I wanted to do a pirouette.
Was
it
the girl? Wasn't it the Asian boy?
No, the girl did a scratch spin, and then they.
Oh, did one of them, it was this Asian kid that like they found who was just a figure skater, quote unquote, and then he did. Maybe that was in the sequel.
You might have gone like more into the Mighty Ducks fandom than we
expected. You know that I
did
not, but I did. Because I guess I don't even remember the original, but I do remember that one part.
Yeah, I just think that she had no performance ability, and it just comes across as not being likable.
Yeah.
Maybe she did. I don't think she wanted to be there. It didn't seem like she would be disappointed. But I think Eric was into it. He was giving it. Like, he was performing. But yeah, I think as a gay person, you always have to be really strategic in how they're going to brand you in this type of situation.
And then to come on and do Cher. Like it was...
Well,
it was like
speaking of Cher, does Ron McLean have a writer? Or Sandra said to be kind to her, but after each, he would have a little line after each performance, and he goes, "You can't ice Cher, but you can share the ice." And
these are all canned, producer-fed, like 100%.
So anyone just know that when we talk about someone being Canadian, that is what we mean. That line kind of right there.
That joke is what epitomizes.
It's like a dad joke. It's like Canadian.
Yeah.
Like,
but not quite as funny even. It's like a dad joke could be even funnier.
No, they're not. No.
I don't know.
No.
It's on the dad.
And they gave them 5-6, 5-6, 5-4, and 5-5, and they already went last because they were in the skate off. So they let everyone skate 2 weeks, except for Violetta.
Which we'll get in. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But should we go against Evora or them against Poje?
Yeah, I think so, because,
Okay. So Amanda Evora and Kaitlyn Weaver. Interesting here is that when we were at Mid-Atlantic's, Mervin's coach came over and was talking to me. And Mervin's coach is Briggs. What is his first name? Anyway, his twin brother is Simon Briggs, the caller. So that's how we knew they got Finlandia, because he said, well, they took my brother off of Finlandia, so I guess Olivia and Mervin are going to go there if they skate well today. That's what wound up happening. And also, he's working with Amanda Evora and Kaitlyn Weaver as their coach for this. And apparently, Kaitlyn is like such a death grip claw from being a hockey player. He can't actually straighten his hand all the way. Like, he's taken some hits and he's been through it. Yeah. I don't think they expect to last very long this year.
And he was one in particular. I thought it was so insightful. Again, moves the hips and the shoulders and the knees like all at once. And it's interesting to me that these people that, back to when you had me watch the documentary about the Russian hockey teams, and that when they were talking about how vulgar they thought North American hockey was, because theirs was so intricate in footwork and edge base, you really see that here, because I would have thought there was a little more edge capability.
No, remember they said that they don't feel that the North Americans can actually skate, and that's why they were able to do all those passing. Yeah,
like it reminded me almost of a child on a public session that literally couldn't figure out how to just stand there.
Yeah,
and I don't know if because of their padding and the thing, like they all seem to lead with the forehead.
They do. They all have like they're in an athletic position.
Follow, yeah. So it's not quite. It was really interesting. He couldn't quite get his like hips over him, but I'll tell you,
he was like a hunched log, is what I wrote down. And and
to be thrown by that. She fell on the throw, but like
very similar to her amateur career.
But that's
Facts.
Still top 10 in the Olympics, which is not something that happened in 2018 for the U.S. But
Tessa had the phoniest line here. Something, your solid, strong core really gives you that placement. Oh, like the way she was saying
but
it.
That's what I'm saying. I think she's like pulling comments out of a hat. Like it didn't even matter who was in front of her that she was going to say that kind of stuff. But
He was stiff. There was nothing nice to say. It was like, you can lift things. They struggled on getting the lift up in week one.
When he was having an elbow issue or something.
He was. But yeah, his upper body is a rough one.
Dylan Moskovich to the lift, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And you could tell from week one that they thought they were going to be the ones to go. They were 9-2, 9-1, 9-1. They were like...
Yeah.
I don't know how Amanda won season 4. I think it was like an off season. Probably not why it didn't get renewed. I don't think they had all the stars lined up.
Well, she was so nervous when they did the, what do they call it, a skate off or whatever.
Yeah.
You saw, like, kind of lost it in her face, and you felt she was really experiencing those nerves. But I thought, actually, when they were doing the production footage and the interviews and things like that, she was quite good.
She's quite good, yeah. This has to be a really hard time for Jim. She's getting married.
Jim is the front of that, of all of that, whatever's happening down there. And we don't hear from her so much. And she was so lovely and personable in those interviews. It was nice to see.
I know, and she's getting married, and she's doing this show, so she's away from him, and you know he likes to keep a firm grip on everyone. So,
like her partner.
Yes.
Okay. And, it also has to put into play, like you were saying, he threw the other American girl under the bus, having competed for the U.S. women's hockey team. This guy seems like a real fan favorite in the hockey community.
Yes.
So I'm sure that also bodes well.
That does. That helped them. Because they got 5'6", 5'7", 5'5", and then a 5'4". So Kurt
wasn't on board. Yeah.
Kurt is going to do whatever he wants. He's like, I have 4 world titles.
Yeah.
3 world pro titles. I'm just going to... He gave Katya 5'6". Like,
Oh, we're going to get into it. And then gave...
And they have a past. Like, that was... I know.
Honey, they all got a pass, don't you think?
All these skaters with each other? Yes. Yeah.
Insular. Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun. That was a rough one.
But Jim said something because he's pushing like people to vote for her or whatever on social media, and he was like, "I hear next week is sleeveless," and you know what? I'll watch it.
Oh. Jonathan, you are very thirsty, as I said.
Yeah.
I think you're meant to be the little spoon, Jonathan. I think so. You're skinny now, and I think, yep.
But I'm still 6'5". So
doesn't matter. Okay. Let's talk about Natalie Spooner, speaking of, and Andrew Poje skating to Canadian Girl. And remember, Tara McBordy, who does the synchro, and she's also one of my examples of Canadian cheese. I was like, that song, Canadian Girl. She goes, it's the best, right?
If I never hear that song again, it doesn't matter because I was traumatized at having heard it once. It was the most, and she's sitting with her dad. Well, she's like, I sit with my dad, and it was like this country twang. It was just so, I couldn't. That's when
Michael Siebert knew what he was doing.
What are you doing?
Michael Siebert, who is a very smart designer and choreographer.
Michael Siebert, who has tremendous taste. I'm sorry, I will never forget the Scheherazade of that 1984 Olympics when Judy just latched herself around the shoulders and slid all the way down. Coolest move ever. He's got great design eye. And this, I felt violated. I felt offended. I
think you're thinking about things too hard. Was that your problem? I don't think you could take an AP test, Jonathan. I think you would overthink the essays.
I got a 5 in AP German.
Okay. Did they have the open-ended essay section? Because I feel like you would... I feel like if you had to do an AP Lit, you would spend too much time overthinking it.
I only got a 4 on that one.
Well...
And then I went to music school where you didn't even have to do those credits.
Because I think he knows his audience. This is a Canadian cheese audience.
You are right. And because, and this is what I was saying to you in the beginning, although the show won me over, that was one of the first things I saw, and I thought, oh, for goodness sake.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, what are you getting me into? But she was delightful. She had a delightful energy. She was that kind of energy that, even though she was kind of rough and tumble, you were like, oh, this is kind of fun.
See, I think he was genius here, and I think you're wrong. Because...
Yeah.
You've got this girl in the I mean, when we saw her in the interview, all you saw were those guns. And I was like, is she lifting him? Because he's not the best lifter on planet Earth.
Yeah, they need those Torval and Dean moments where she's going to throw him up.
She is no dainty girl, right?
Yeah.
But they were really smart. He put her in the flannel and just embraced the fact that she's like a big country girl. And she's bull in a china shop energy. And he just kind of used that and went with it. And I thought that was more successful here.
Like in the Dancing with the Stars when they put Tanya in the trailer park.
Yes.
Maybe it was a campsite. That was a Freudian. But like, and she was lumberjacky.
He did that with this one.
It was the same kind of idea. Yeah.
And this one, unlike Eric's partner, I thought Natalie Spooner really tried to perform and was charming, and she just went with it.
She had a fun time.
Yeah, and that's what... She's not a good skater, but...
She was fast.
She was fast. I actually didn't think her posture was great, but it was better than some of the guys. Barb Underhill liked it, so it must have been really
She must be listening. But I also liked, because, and then in the interview, when you kind of start rooting for this, is when she was like, you know what? She was in between this camp and doing this all-star, whatever she was doing, and she was like, I think this is really going to help my hockey skating.
Yeah.
And now you're like, yeah, she's learning. That's good for you, you know.
So Tara McBurney is already going for a Weaver against Poje finale. She's like, it'll be great. And then it's the Canadian hockey player against, and I'm like, the female, I'm like, No.
I think we know the winner from the get-go on this one. Or we know who should be the winner.
I don't... Like, it should be Katya, but I have a feeling...
No question.
I think it's going to be her, Weaver, and Vanessa James in the top three. They're pushing Vanessa James hard on this. Not for the scores or the skating ability, but they're pushing.
Okay, we'll get to it.
The narrative. Come on.
Okay. I understand.
9-3, 9-3, 9-3. I just thought she really tried. She isn't graceful, but she has so much performance energy. And it's so much harder for a female. And I thought that doing the dance lifts are easier than having to do some of the pair skills for her. There's no way he could press this girl like above his head like that and doing...
Right. Nor should he have to. Yeah, of course.
The second week they did the Higher Love, the Whitney posthumous hit that I love. And I was like, whoa, backless dress. But I forgot that she was backless as it went along. I thought that she's just so likable. She's just...
Yes. The opposite of what we were talking about with Eric.
She's not self-conscious at all.
You were just kind of rooting for this person. And it was interesting to see Poje actually kind of in a lighter sense. He wasn't brooding as he often was in there.
And it's interesting. Poje wanted to do the Rock the Rink tour, and Weaver wanted to do Battle of the Blades. And then, of course, once she picked this, he had to, because he can't skate alone.
Right.
And I think it was the right decision for both of them. I feel like. The backless dress, I thought, I'm looking at my notes, sorry. I thought the lift was pretty good. She's not self-conscious, and she tries. And she is endearing. And it comes across. They got 5-7, 5-8, 5-7, 5-7. I think they'll probably stay there in the scores. Yeah. But there's a ceiling in her skating ability, but I think they'll go decently far here.
Yeah, but there's not a ceiling, I think, in her performance.
No.
So I think if they keep, angling it right, she could always be an entertaining addition.
But a lot of the guys are just doing 2-foot glides. Some of them. You could tell some of the partners really work on the skating, and the coaches, obviously, work on the skating with the skaters more than others. Some of those guys, they're like, you're going to be voted off in 3 weeks. We're not even bothered.
This is a lost cause. Yeah, just keep skating.
Weaver and Natalie did do more skating than some here. I thought they were in the middle of actual movement. So I think the judges respond to that as well, even though they don't always talk about it. You can tell.
And it's interesting because I'll tell you what, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow on This and That, especially as we get into the French, because we see their programs, or we saw their programs this week. There is a push in the ISU almost, especially in the rhythm dance, to kind of put forth this kind of Dancing with the Stars thematic, to
make it accessible.
I feel like they want the rhythm dance to be like Latin Week on Battle of the Blades or musical theater day.
But they've always done stuff like this, right? They always have for the original
But I
dance.
think it's interesting now to actually see then more dancey kind of stuff in this element. You see where maybe they're not so far apart anymore as to what they think the audience is really looking for. And as a result, you know, they're having to come up with creative solutions to some of these dance lists, obviously. And obviously they're not as technically difficult. Some of them aren't as aesthetically pleasing because they're dealing with people doing them for the first time. But they're having to be creative. And we saw several creative moments and innovative kind of lift ideas here that we don't always see competitively anymore because they have to think outside of the box in their normal vocabulary. So especially when we get to Katya, some of those lifts and turns and twists are just great.
Katya has an unfair advantage, as all of the other pair girls. I remember one of the girls was looking at her when they showed the boot camp, and Katya was doing the throw, and all the girls were just like, well, we know we're going to lose. You know? Like,
yeah.
And it's unfortunate because the chemistry is that every man who's ever skated with Katya falls in love with her. And
I don't know. Wouldn't you, Dave?
Yes, I would, Jonathan. I would do whatever she says. And apparently, because I've always asked people what Katya is like as a coach, because often those who can do can't teach because it doesn't work.
Is she born that way? Yeah.
And I think in terms of like teaching people to do really high level technique, not her strength as a coach, but she's the kind of coach who will spend 45 minutes on your mohawk and smoothing it out and doing it the right way. And when we get into Alexa and Chris, I think that's what's not being fully utilized. And Sui and Han went to them. And I think Alexa and Chris desperately need to work with Katya and David on doing that. And I think that they could really help them a great deal. I also think David could help Chris technically. But I don't know if David is invited in this show. They're the kind of...
Because he had one, did you say?
Or David had one. He had one. Right. He had a female partner. He was the first one that did that. And then sometimes they... What?
Versus a male partner?
Well, he was the first male on the show. Like, he was the first male pro on the show that was skated. Yeah. So, it was the first time. That was like the twist for season 3, right? And then they...
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's go into Katya, because we were talking about her. She definitely knows what the F she is doing. And I wasn't sure who is her coach this year and choreographer, but...
Well, she said Alage was doing some of their stuff. And they're, again, opening lifts and, you know, flip outs and all these sorts of things. Innovative, cool, aesthetically interesting, done with precision. You know, she did the throw. I don't know. To me, I don't even know how they're like, just end it. Let's just...
And they didn't score her through the roof. You know that they're trying. They're really trying to make sure that the Canadians make it far, so it's not all non-Canadians. And even in the casting, they needed to have so many Canadians when they did it. So there was... Yeah, it was like there were certain people that were up for other spots, and it was like, wow. But you could just tell that she's a complete pro, even at this, compared to the other ones. The dance lift she had never done before at the end, where they did the rotation.
Which was so cool.
Yes.
It was so cool. I loved seeing it.
And I thought she knew she knew the perfect kind of music to pick for week 1. Like, you don't want to do your best in the beginning. So, like, I like the way you move. Like, it gets the crowd into it. It's like a 5-7. You know, you don't want to show it all too quickly. And I thought, look, she's obviously the best skater, and you can't not look at her, which is an unfair advantage. It's like when you have Julianne Hough on Dancing with the Stars. But he's of the men, he seems to be... He's the least fluid, Incredible Hulk lumberjack type. Like, some of these guys have way too big upper bodies that they can't actually move. He's a little stiff, but I thought that in week 2, you could tell that she was making him do some actual steps, like he was doing like almost quasi footwork, like on the right and left side. And I thought that the steps they gave him were of his ability. I actually thought that Weaver's partner, I thought the marks were so inflated, but they were doing actual content because they were doing like... twizzles, like, around.
But again, I think they can't make it so obvious out of the gate that Katya is only about 8 million points better than everyone else. I mean, it's not good television if she's just clobbering everyone from...
Weaver's partner was going for more actual skating than other people, even though he's obviously...
Now, do we know actually, like, are we allowed to know how long they're actually working on these? For instance, in the Food Network thing, we were supposedly at like a boot camp for these many weeks, but we were filming episodes like in a day. Or I mean, it was 2 days instead of like...
They've been skating for several weeks with each other at this point. They've been in...
So, like, do you think it's like several weeks and then an episode, several weeks then an episode, or...
No. It was like several, like kind of like old Dancing with the Stars. Like it's several weeks and then like episode 1 week, episode the next week, episode, like every week.
So they give you a beginning chunk to find your way.
Yes.
And then they're giving you a week in between each episode.
Yeah,
now,
and I know that...
I know these shows lie, they have to lie about the timeline at times, but you're saying if they're sold out crowds...
It's every Thursday. It's live on TV.
Okay.
So it's like Dancing with the Stars in that way.
Which also, did you see, they kept saying, this is filmed live, parental advice.
Yeah, that was strange.
As if, like, if someone falls or if someone accidentally...
I think so. Well, Violetta's partner snapped his hamstring, apparently.
But that was in a practice.
Well, I don't know, because they had to have somewhat of, like, medical personnel, then in the rinks when they were practicing, is what Jason Briggs was telling us at Mid-Atlantic's. Like, it changed the way that they were practicing because I think... all of a sudden his hamstring snapped and they had to get the paramedics and all of that. So some of them practice in Toronto and some don't. I know that Julie Marcotte is working with Eric Radford, and I think she's working with Kaitlyn Weaver and her partner. I know that last time Katya was actually...
Yeah, because she did the Mumford and Sons one.
Yeah. Katya was working with Marina in Michigan the last time she was on the show. So there's some of that. So, anyway, Gordeeva second, the up-tempo with the tassels. Yeah, that's when he was doing actual steps. She is the best because that throw, double flip, he threw her so sideways. And she held on for dear life on that landing. She just sold it. She just looked like $1 million. So, and I think she knows to do up-tempo early, and then she'll do the ballads with him for when the voting gets...
Right.
Serious.
Once we start one.
Yeah. Because some of them did the ballad type stuff early, and then you have to change it up.
Yeah. So American pairs of them.
And then the Ron McLean line, week 2. In Russia, everyone joined the party. Are you kidding?
Can you not? Like, again, divisive. Like this, I remember actually... This was happening at Miss New York because when you compete in the Miss America system, you don't have to be from the place. Like, if you go to school in the place, you can represent that state and stuff. And this one guy kept trying to formulate their questions as a non-native New Yorker. And finally, they had to say, you can't say stuff like that because it seems like you're leading us a certain way. And again, I feel that's, as an outsider, Katya.
And you know Canadians are very susceptible to this. They're
very nationalistic there. Yes. Yeah.
In the U.S., we tend to go for the best person rather than...
Well, one would hope. Maybe that happens in the U.S., but I know for us, it's just kind of like we want whoever's the best. We
like rivalries more in the U.S., though, than just standing behind one person.
When I put the picture up of the... when I went to the U.S. Open final with Serena and the Canadian girl that won. I can't remember.
They're all about the Canadian girl.
I was like, look, I'm at a final for U.S. Open, and everyone was like, kick your ass! And I was like, whoa.
They were having a lot of feelings about it.
Yeah.
Listen, when you're the Jan Brady your whole life, and then you get to be Marcia for 2 hours, you're going to go for it. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, 5'8", 5'8", 5'8", 5'6". It was
5'6" from Kurt was ridiculous. I mean, because their program was great.
He was like, I didn't like the mohawk. I thought it was, I don't know. Yeah, he's... Katya was like...
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah.
Kurt, I didn't fail at the Olympics 3 times. Anyway. All right. So Violetta and PJ. So she's from some like circus on ice. She's been in almost every season of this. She has Canadian citizenship.
Because they don't really talk about her competitively, just that like her dad was a clown.
Because I don't think she was a competitive skater. I think she was like in Circus on Ice, probably like in Russia.
She had some lovely qualities.
She had some of the most gorgeous lifts of any of the girls. She's certainly a prettier skater than Vanessa James. She knew how to point her toes and bend her knees. Yeah,
there was a different level of extension. Yeah,
Vanessa and her partner were like on the same level of skating skills. So I was like, oh, like, it's just, yeah. The differential wasn't the same as it was with the other partners. Okay. Yeah.
You were wondering who was who.
Like Violetta, like was doing some of those Kirsten Moore type mini lifts in this program.
Yeah, and the up and the lean with the there was some really nice.
Jonathan, you're gonna have to like KMT's free program this year, otherwise you're gonna be in the minority, and we're just gonna have to open up that. Yeah, we knew it.
Well, I watched it. She has like a Grecian goddess quality to her aesthetic.
Yeah. And you're going to hate it, and everyone's going to yell at you.
I've already seen it, but, you know.
We know it's good.
Fun.
You know what you're going to say. Jonathan, it's a great program.
Actually, I wrote some pretty, like, fascinating observations on my end. You'll have to tune in.
I thought Violetta is just really, really good. So her partner is her partner for season 2. They were clearly in a bind and just got someone.
The fact that they caught that exact moment that the hamstring tore on camera.
Yeah.
Like, that was tough. And it is interesting, like, you see it and you're like, wait, what happened? And then for them to say that the hamstring.
So he didn't do much actual skating other than, like, the 2-foot swizzles and glides, but he's so good at the lifts with her. And he's pretty, like, decently smooth and just knows not to mess up the aesthetic. and
he's a performer type, too. Even when they were doing the interview, you could tell off the cuff more so than that's something. He just has an ease in front of a camera that can just, you know.
Because she has a little bit of a fear. Like, she's always, like, be likable.
She's held, and he's just out there and open, and it's interesting to see the different dynamics of that. And we've talked about this in skating in general, that it's good to be held in and
her weave was a lot that week. It was unnecessary and uncalled for. I don't know.
It was a triple double.
I thought Scott looked really good. I was like, they really just dressed him with that picture day part. I was like, oh, Scott, you look more natural than Tessa's. Yeah. Tessa's giving us like, I'm going to have a career as a spokeswoman on TV on the Style Network, right? And he was, look, good for them. They're going to have lots of things to do. 5'8", 5'8", 5'7", 5'6" from VJ, from
and there were going to be sympathy points because that was technically their first week.
And I also thought they did a lot of content with their lifts. They just don't do a lot of skating. So they're in no danger of winning this show. But they're going to, I think they'll make it to the middle of the pack. So let's talk about Vanessa and her partner. So I had never seen Vanessa's twin skate before. So that was interesting and a little...
When they showed the footage of them doing it together, again, like the Jutta Mueller, like same-sex pairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
They already have her as the child of the world, so they kind of get her in there, and then Brian McGrattan...
There is an actual Canadian connection that often I get, you know.
I thought the fact that they were doing a more lyrical, dramatic piece, I thought really... helps them. She really pops on TV in this setting. I thought, like, she really works. Her body looks great. Her look, she's natural on camera, and I thought she was quite strong.
But it's interesting. I have to say, when we interviewed them, was that last fall, maybe?
Yes.
I adored her personality so much, and I didn't quite see in this... She came across very nice, but she didn't kind of have that, like, fun friend energy I thought she gave...
Jonathan, when we interviewed her, she was like literally wearing like her night.
She was.
She had her Monday night pajamas
in the hoodie.
Yeah, but she had like her Monday night pajamas on. She had like these like short.
Girl, put on your pajamas for the next Battle of the Blades because she was so like cool, and I felt like we were just hanging out.
He was just very French and right?
Yeah, exactly.
We've interviewed French people before. It's never the easiest. It's like, oh dear God, okay. Whew, you have to like...
But they get there. They get there once they know that's the vibe.
I know. Jonathan, we had to have a strategy before we interviewed Papadakis and Cicero on the second time. I said,
I know, and
so
then
you're going to be... You're going to be Jonathan.
Like, Jonathan, shut up.
You're going to be as corny as possible and just break them down. Okay? I don't have the patience for that shit. I don't have the patience for that. I'm like, let's get to the point. All right? Shit or get off the pot. Okay.
Gotta warm them up. Gotta warm anybody up. Yeah.
All right. Love their skating.
Not real.
Yeah, so I thought that the mood helped them.
She couldn't fix that throw. Ooh. Yeah,
it was real forward. And like Haven and Brandon's Lion King program, it's just all lifts. They're just like, he's really strong, and we're just going to use that.
Yeah, and he is very strong.
She doesn't have the best lift positions, and I hate those Adea skates, but even Katya's wearing them here, so. 9-4, 9-3, 9-2 first week. Kurt was like, whew.
I kind of expected them in the bottom two, actually, maybe more than some of the others, but...
I think they're going to get the fan vote, though. The mental health aspect of that is really powerful. I thought they did really well. She also
and I think her partner has a big likability factor within his sport. I think she's probably got a very substantial following.
And then she did a split single twist, so that was impressive. And then they did like a rotational lift, and she went for that throw. And I think that Barb is a good coach. I liked her as a judge and a coach. Like if we could have stopped and not gone to Kurt, I would have been really happy.
Because she had great, insightful, and
they need to keep him as a host. There's a quality.
It's a darkness. It's a dark quality. Yeah.
Yeah. So 5-7, 5-7, 5-5, 5-5 for them. And I think we talked about Amanda. We talked about Vanessa James.
We need Weaver.
Oh, yes. Weaver, who's getting to live out her Shaylin-born fantasies on this show. She is channeling her. You could tell she is like channeled her entire
She is
career.
stunning. She is stunning. And when she's not doing these like angsty, moved by her own program content, like I find her very likable here.
I thought she's clearly always been a hard worker. And I thought she was ready for something like this. Like, she was ready for some Canadian cheese reality show and going
because
for it.
she has carried a heaviness in, like, their content has been so heavy.
Because I think she's been trying to hold their careers together for the last several years, and he's been kind of not so on board. And she's been, like, organizing and doing all of that. So I think it lends her... Like, her skill set in the organization and the motivation and looking at things, I think really translates to getting a hockey player to do ice dance moves.
I feel like if you were, like, an amateur and you looked up and saw her, I think she would be a very, like, positive, encouraging energy.
Yes. Yeah.
You're saying, you know, maybe there's a part of Eric that wonders why he even has to do this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if, like, she could ever look at Eric and, like, feel at ease and safe, but I feel like this guy could look to her and she's like, I got you, let's go, it's gonna be fine. And this guy is also very likable. This is the one with the coach sexual abuse background that wants to do all these things to remind people that sport can be fun and, you know, all this sort of stuff. And so they've got a really good narrative going. Yeah. And their program was just fun.
Yeah.
There was really nice fun quality.
He is very big and burly, but he did more skating than any of the other men. Except for maybe Katya's on board with Katya's partner in a different way, right? Like on par. Right. But he really did more actual skating, and you could tell that the judges really went for that. And he has a good performance ability, even though he is like as tall as he is wide. Like they are just going for it.
And a little funky, but he's not apologizing, or he's not letting it limit.
Yeah.
You see when the other guys know they're kind of awkward, so they're keeping that awkwardness in. He's like, whatever. And then he's ending with the centerfold at the end of the thing.
Look, Jamie Salé found her husband on this show, so you just have to go for it, okay? Just go all out. Yeah, and the judges gave them the marks. The first week, 9-4, 9-4, 9-5. Look, they're doing the Dancing with the Stars thing. They're starting really low the first week, so we can be like the improvement and go for the sixes and the... Yes! Yeah. Well, because remember, the scoring system changes.
Yeah, each week. Maybe next week it'll be totally IHAS. They'll be like 72.85.
Listen, and in week 2, she brought out her sequin and her curlers, and she was just going all in.
The red sequins, yeah. It was a real, like a Tootsie dress.
You have to... And you could see when she was talking about how she always wanted to go to the Olympics, like, that's very genuine. She's definitely very...
There's beautiful qualities.
She loves skating. You could tell that. And... you could see with her that she's so into this. She's took her pro career, like as soon as I think they weren't going to compete again. She signed up for this. She started working. She worked in Megan's ring for a week. She was working with Igor's teams. Like, she's...
Right. She has a passion.
A passion, and she'll coach and do things and be very successful. So, I thought they had like a mini footwork section. Respect. None of the other men would try that. And as someone that learned skating as an adult, not easy.
Yeah, so, this guy had clearly that attitude of like, he's up for whatever, let's try it.
Let's try it. There was a lot of armography, but also a lot of skating. So they didn't do a lot of the pair elements. They went for more skating and dance.
But just in general, with this limited amount of time, knowing the kinds of skating skills they're working with, I was floored by some of the elements that they were attempting. The fact that anyone was trying a twist of any size, a throw, of these lifts, these like when they were doing the mirror footwork, I was like, respect, because that...
I was impressed by the elements, but I have to say, maybe it's because I learned how to skate as an adult. I was really paying attention to the feet of all of the men.
Well, and some didn't do anything.
Some didn't do anything.
Just, yeah.
So it's like the in-betweens to me, like, really tell the story. Because some of these guys are so physically strong that you're like, of course they can lift someone. Like, you just tell them, like...
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The lack of flow for some of them was kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, he was light on his feet for such a big guy. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And they went 5'9", 6', 5'9", 5'9". So this team is going to the finals. You could just tell already. So, yeah, see, Jonathan, this wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be.
No, it's because we started with Canadian woman, and again, like you say, or Canadian girl, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I know they have to cater to their crowd. I know they're doing a thing, and then I was like, but do I want to be a part of this thing? And then Katja came out, and I was like, oh, okay, Jonathan, you're fine.
Exactly.
You can do this.
Candace Cameron Bure made sure to attend those shows when her husband was skating with Katja. I would too.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, I don't know if you saw this on social media last summer. Katja, Yuka, Renee Roca, maybe it was Jenny Mino. They were all at the Candace Cameron Bure winery, like on vacation, just in California. Maybe Christy was there.
What does she make? Communion wine there?
No, I don't think so. Okay. Listen, what is she making? She's making that Hallmark movie Full House cheese. They just go for it, okay?
I'm sure we'll see her in 8 Christmas specials this holiday season.
Well, yes, especially now that Aunt Becky is going to jail. It's more work for her. Like, I have to say, as much as she annoys me because she's not that talented and makes so much money just being, like...
Do you blame her for
limited
being
bubbly?
Though? Yeah.
Like, respect. Like, she is just making a career out of being unabashedly cheesy. Like, she just goes for it. She's like,
find your niche. I'm
DJ Tanner, and let's just make this terrible show, and I'll make money on Netflix. Like,
yeah. I'll be cheesy all the way to the bank.
I'll be cheesy all the way to the bank, and I won't be offensive enough. I'll keep my brother's opinions at bay, and I'll know how to be palatable about it. I even got a couple years on The View, okay? Like, she just kind of... She walks that line, right? Where she... You know she's probably a little crazy. A little hateful, but, like, she holds it at bay.
Yeah.
And that husband, all right, he's doing it.
He got to skate with Katja. Yeah.
He got to skate with Katja, okay?
Yeah. Dreams do come true.
Dreams really do come true.
I don't want to skate with Katja. I want to have Katja over for, like, martinis. And like,
no, I want to skate with Katja. I'm sure it's like...
Go to the sauna.
No, I think Katja, like... You'd want to be on the ice with her for like 6 or 7 hours a day. She would just like mind blow. I think it would just like change your life. You would just be like, whoa. Like, I think she's just so motivating. You're like, you're so pretty. I just want to like...
Be you. Be your ways.
Do whatever. Right?
Let's get that People magazine you're in.
She has that power. She's just like... She makes you believe. Okay.
She makes you forget she ever came out with that fragrance at Target.
It was a bestseller, Jonathan, okay?
I didn't say it wasn't, but...
I have nothing wrong with that fragrance, okay?
Okay. You're wearing it now.
Jonathan, you make that money at Target. If someone offers you a deal for anything at Target, you go for that money, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Accessibility, Jonathan. Not everyone can afford your restoration hardware life, okay? Not everyone can.
I own nothing from restoration.
We can't all spend $300 on a candle, Jonathan, for our room. But those candles for $9.99, if Katja wants to sell them, you go for it, okay? You skate to Canadian Girl.
She's going for quantity, okay.
you have a maple leaf candle, and you go for it. All right?
So the host can mention it on the next show and say that you are Canadian, even though you're from Russia and live in the United States. Yeah.
And everyone's joining the party, the Communist Party. Right?
Yeah. I was like, oh my God.
Ron MacLean. We're going to have to write down his lines next week and rank them. I think that we should score each one on a 6-0.
Okay.
We'll score each one on a 6-0 thing, what we like. Okay?
The share one took it this week.
What were your favorite Ron MacLean lines? How would you have ranked these teams? Is being with Katya an unfair advantage? If Katya wanted you to date her, would you do whatever she said? Write it in the comments below. Hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys.